Optimus Prime had Megatron beaten, cornered, broken, one pull of the trigger away from ending a war millions of years in the making, and he didn't take the shot. If you grew up watching these two collide on Saturday mornings, you already know how it ends. But almost nobody can tell you why it truly ends that way. The reason Optimus lost isn't strength or luck or a cheap shot from the bad guy. It's something built into his character from the very start. So rewind with me to the beginning. Two robots, one war. Optimus Prime and Megatron aren't simply a hero and a villain who happen to hate each other. They're two answers to the same question. What do you do with power? Megatron believes the strong are meant to rule and the weak to serve, and he'll level a city to prove it. Optimus believes the exact opposite, down to his last circuit, that freedom is the right of all sentient beings, and that a real leader protects life even when it costs him everything. That difference isn't just backstory, it's the loaded gun on the mantle in every fight they ever have. And here's the part that aches. These two weren't always enemies. In more than one telling, they started as allies, even friends, sharing a dream of a better world before ambition twisted one of them into a tyrant. So when they clash, it isn't strangers throwing punches. It's a brotherhood gone rotten. No Accident Prime even sounds like a father. Peter Cullen based that voice on his own Marine brother. Even their bodies say it all. Megatron turns into a gun, a weapon, nothing else. Optimus becomes a truck built to haul and to shield. One exists to destroy, the other exists to carry the load. Hold on to that contrast because it's the very thing that decides how their greatest battle ends. But that battle didn't begin with a punch. It began with a betrayal in orbit that bled the Autobots dry before Prime ever arrived. Ambushed before dawn. Picture the future the 1986 movie imagined, and yes, that's nearly 40 years behind us now. Things are grim. The Decepticons have conquered the Transformers' home planet, Cybertron and the Autobots are clinging to its moons, low on the energy they need to fight back. Optimus can't just storm in with a full army. He's playing a careful game with a short stack, so he sends a shuttle on a simple fuel run to Earth. That's where everything unravels. Thanks to a tip from the Decepticon spy Laserbeak, Megatron knows the route, ambushes the shuttle in space, and kills nearly everyone aboard. Then comes the sinister part. The Decepticons fly that hijacked Autobot shuttle straight past Earth's defenses. The Autobots' own vehicle becomes the horse rolled through the gates. This opening gut punch matters. For 2 seasons of the cartoon, these robots traded fire and nobody so much as got a dent. Then the movie opens by killing off beloved veterans like Ironhide in blunt, shocking fashion, and a generation of kids sat frozen in their seats. By the time Optimus even hears the distress call, his side is already bleeding, the city under siege through the night. So when Prime finally rolls in with reinforcements, he isn't arriving fresh to a fair duel. He's charging into a fire that's burned for hours, against an enemy who set the board exactly how he wanted it. And at the center of all that smoke, waiting for him, stood Megatron. One shall fall. Now the scene burned into the memory of everyone who saw it. Optimus arrives, transforms, and tears through the Decepticon ranks like a freight train with a grudge. Stan Bush's The Touch roaring over the top. A song that basically became the anthem of the whole franchise. He doesn't so much arrive as detonate onto the battlefield, flattening Decepticons in truck mode, rocketing into the air, shooting down jets before his tires touch the ground. Then he drives straight at his enemy and delivers the line fans have quoted ever since. Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost. Then face to face, the words that raise every hair on your neck. One shall stand, one shall fall. And here's what popular memory gets wrong. People remember Megatron winning this fight. He doesn't. In straight hand-to-hand combat, Optimus dominates. Megatron fights dirty, hurling a jagged slab of debris that impales Prime's midsection, slashing at him with an energy dagger, tearing open a wound in his side. Doesn't matter. Optimus keeps coming, and he pounds Megatron into a broken, groaning heap at the edge of the battlements. And notice how Megatron chooses to fight him. He carries a fusion cannon, the weapon that's terrorized Autobots since the war began. And he barely touches it. He wants to feel this one. He wants to take Optimus apart with his bare hands, because winning with a blast from across the courtyard would never satisfy the hatred he's nursed since Cybertron. It's pure ego. And for most of the fight, it costs him dearly, because every blow Optimus lands is a lifetime of Decepticon cruelty arriving all at once. This isn't the Prime who traded harmless laser fire on the old show. This is the Autobot leader fully unleashed, and Megatron is losing. The fight, cleanly, is over. Prime has won. Every kid in that theater knew it. Optimus stands tall over his oldest enemy, a rifle in his grip, and for one shining second, it looks like the war itself might end right here. It doesn't, and what happens in the next 10 seconds is the real reason Optimus Prime lost. A fatal mercy. Watch closely, because everything turns here. Megatron is finished, and Optimus looms over him with the rifle ready. His comrade Cup screams the only sane advice in the entire movie. "Finish him off, Prime! Do it now!" One shot, that's all it takes. One shot, and the war changes forever. But Megatron does the thing he does better than anyone. He lies. He drops the Tyrant Act, plays utterly defeated, and begs. "Grant me mercy! I beg of you!" And Optimus, being Optimus, hesitates. He can't execute a beaten enemy pleading for his life, even this one. He lowers the moment into a speech instead of a shot, reminding Megatron that he, who never once showed mercy, now grovels for it. That pause is the crack in the armor. As Prime moralizes, the young hothead Hot Rod lunges in to help and tangles the fight, and in that split second, Megatron's hand finds a fallen blaster. He empties it into Prime's open wound again and again. Even then, mortally hit, Optimus summons the strength for one last act, hurling Megatron off a 3-story drop with a final blow. Both leaders are dying now, but only one of them chose to be here. Megatron survived by cheating. Optimus fell by refusing to, and here's the cruelest detail of all. Hot Rod was warned. Moments earlier, the grizzled veteran Cup told him in no uncertain terms to stay out of it. This was Prime's fight, and Prime's alone. He didn't listen. So when the smoke clears, the kid drops to his knees beside his fallen hero, and does the only thing left to him. He begs Optimus to forgive him. That guilt doesn't lift when the credits roll either. Hot Rod carries the weight of this one moment through his entire run as leader. One reckless second, and a boy inherits both a war and a lifetime of regret. That's the loss. Not a defeat of strength, a defeat of character. And it leaves one question that's haunted fans for decades. What if he'd simply taken the shot? The missed shot. Sit with that, because it's the beating heart of the whole story. If Optimus fires the instant Megatron is down, the war likely ends that night. Megatron never gets flung into space, never drifts into the path of the planet-eating monster, Unicron. Never gets rebuilt into the sleeker, deadlier Galvatron. The entire second half of the film simply never happens. Prime lives, the Autobots hold. A generation keeps its hero. So why doesn't he? Because pulling that trigger would turn Optimus into Megatron. His refusal to gun down a helpless, begging enemy isn't a lapse in judgment. It's the single most defining thing about him. He would rather lose the war than win it by becoming the thing he's fighting. It's noble. It's also, tactically, a disaster. And that's exactly why this death has stuck with people so long. It isn't a cheap, the villain got lucky ending. It's Prime being so completely himself that it kills him. Fans love to pin the whole thing on Hot Rod for jostling the fight at the worst possible second. Fair enough. But be honest. That window only existed because Optimus stopped to make a speech instead of ending it. Hot Rod pulled the trigger on the tragedy. Prime loaded the gun with his own mercy. The death itself is quiet, and anyone who was a kid back then can still picture it, frame for frame. On the table, his color already draining to a dull gray, Optimus tries to hand the matrix of leadership to the steady veteran Ultra Magnus. But in a small, perfect stroke of foreshadowing, the relic slips from his grip, and Hot Rod, of all bots, catches it first, bathed in blue light for a heartbeat. Prime gives his last words, "Till all are one," and goes still. And watching the whole thing from the dark of space is Unicron, voiced by the legendary Orson Welles in the final role of his life, a dying giant of cinema, playing a devourer of worlds, and his own catchphrase turns against him. One shall stand, one shall fall. Optimus is the one who falls. Megatron is the one who stands. Surviving, upgrading, returning stronger than ever. By Prime's own words, the wrong robot won. But the cartoon wasn't the only place Optimus threw a fight he had already won. Death by video game. Here's the part almost nobody outside the comic shops knows. Marvel Comics handed Optimus an even stranger death, and it exposes the exact same flaw. In one infamous issue, the Autobots and Decepticons are fighting over a machine that pulls limitless energy out of the ocean. To stop them from wrecking the very prize they're battling over, a human programmer makes a wild offer: settle it inside his video game. Both armies download their minds into a virtual world and fight there, with no real-world wreckage. Optimus agrees. Then Megatron sweetens the deal. Whichever leader loses in the game dies for real, right there in the lab. Prime agrees to that too, and Optimus wins. He genuinely beats Megatron, even after Megatron cheats to resurrect himself mid-match. But to seal that final victory, Prime has to take an action that kills some of the game's innocent virtual inhabitants, and that he cannot live with. In his mind, he betrayed the one rule that defines him: never harm the innocent, just to win a game. So the clear victor declares himself the loser and orders his own destruction. The human presses the button. Quietly, though, he saves a copy of Prime's mind onto a floppy disk, which is how eventually Optimus finds his way back. Though the return carries a twist almost crueler than the death. He comes back convinced he's nothing but a character in a video game, a program that only imagines it was ever Optimus Prime. Picture the noblest being in the universe waking up certain his whole life was just somebody else's software. Do you see the pattern now? Twice, in two universes, the same thing. Optimus wins the fight and loses anyway because he won't let victory cost him his soul. There's even a grim little epilogue. Megatron is so unhinged that a human landed the finishing blow, not him, that he grows obsessed to the point of blowing himself up on a space bridge, rather than live with the doubt. Neither leader gets to enjoy the win. So why would an unkillable hero who lie down and die not once, but twice? The answer is more cynical than you'd ever guess. So did he lose? Time to pull back the curtain, because the real reason Optimus lost has almost nothing to do with Megatron. He lost because Hasbro needed to sell toys. That's it. The most emotional death in 80s animation was, at its core, a 90-minute commercial built to clear out the old toy line and make room for new ones. Optimus was coldly discontinued inventory. One executive later admitted they simply thought they were retiring an old product, with no idea they were about to break a nation of kids' hearts. And break them, it did. The reaction was so fierce, a genuine letter-writing campaign from devastated children, that the character was rushed back to life on the show within months. He was too loved and too profitable to stay dead. Jokes aside, here's where it gets interesting. In the live-action films, the whole thing flips. There, Megatron is the one who falls, and Optimus is the one left standing over him. No mercy at all, which sparked its own uproar because plenty of longtime fans felt an Optimus who executes a beaten enemy in cold blood isn't really Optimus at all. And that's the beautiful contradiction. The very mercy that got him killed is the thing that makes him Prime. Take it away and he wins, but he stops being the hero we love. So what's the real reason he fell? It's not the one stamped on the toy box. Why he really fell. So here's the whole thing, tied off. On paper, Optimus lost because a wounded liar played dead, because a young Autobot jumped in at the worst second, because a shuttle got ambushed, because a toy company wanted a fresh product line. All true. All surface. Underneath, he lost for one reason. Optimus Prime refused to stop being Optimus Prime. He had Megatron beaten in the cartoon and beaten in the comics, and both times he handed the win back rather than betray who he was. Given the choice between defeating his enemy and staying true to himself, he chose himself over and over, even when it killed him. That's not a flaw in the hero. It's the entire point of him. And maybe that's why the loss never truly stuck. Across cartoons, comics, and the live-action films, Optimus Prime has died more times than almost any hero in the franchise. And every single time, he rises again. For him, death has only ever been a pause. You can put Optimus Prime down. Keeping him there is the one thing no one has ever managed. If this stirred something up, go subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss the next video. So the truth is simpler than every theory. Optimus lost because he wouldn't stop being Optimus. He'd sooner lose the war than win it by becoming the thing he fought. Megatron got the kill. But Prime got something no victory could ever buy. And that's exactly why we're still sitting here, decades on, talking about him.